Welcome back, everybody. It's time for a new topic. This week we're going to start working on powers and exponents. You probably remember exponents, hearing it when we were talking about order of operations. And PEMDAS, remember that? You know, parentheses, exponents, all that good stuff. We're going to do a review of what exponents are and how we can use them today. So we're going to start with the basics, okay? When you're talking about an exponent, it's that little number that's floating up in the air. You have a base, which is the number at the bottom. Like say 10 is my base. And then you have an exponent, which is what's floating up here at the top. So this is what's called the base, and this is the exponent. Alrighty. When you are looking at something like a power and an exponent, the base tells you what number you're using. The exponent tells you how many times you're multiplying it. So if I'm looking at a number like your book gives you 10 to the third power, 10 cubed. I'm going to go ahead and just change this because it'll go along with what we're doing. So if you have something that says 10 to the third power, that means 10 is our base number and we're multiplying it 3 times. What that looks like is what you have here on your paper. These are your factors. This would be 10 times 10 times 10, okay? Because 10 is our base. These are what are called factors. Right? And the little number floating up in the air is that exponent that we talked about, okay? So for example 1, it says the number of calories in 6 pancakes can be written as 10 to the third power, or 10 cubed is what it's called, and it can be written as a product of the same factor, which is what we did here. 10 to the third power is the base, which is 10. Here's the 10. And this exponent tells you how many times you're writing it down, how many times you're multiplying it together. So to find how to solve this, we simply work across. So we're going to do 10 times 10, which is 100, right? I'm going to just do this with my little arrow here. 10 times 10 is 100, and then we're going to multiply by the last 10. So 100 times 10 is 1,000. So here's your answer for right here. So 6 pancakes have 10 to the third power, or 1,000 calories. So you've got that to write that in here. So numbers are expressed using exponents. Those are the powers that we just keep talking about here, okay? So there's some special names, and I already started using these when we were talking about them, but let's review them really quickly. When you see a number, take a look at this little chart down here. It has 2 to the 5th power. And the way that you say that is what I just did. It is 2 to the 5th power, because the exponent tells you the power. The 2 is the base. If you see something like this, this would be 3 to the 2nd power. Or we also called this squared. Okay, so when you see that 2 as an exponent, you can also say squared. All right. The other example they give was the one that we worked with, which was 10 to the third power. So it can be expressed as 10 to the third power, or we can also call it 10 cubed. All right? So this little 3 means cubed, this 2 means squared. That's a really ugly 2. Let me fix that for you. Should be a 3. That's how it's expressed. So 2 to the 5th power, 3 to the 2nd power, 10 to the 3rd power. If you see something that has the 2nd power, it can also be expressed as 3 squared. Or if you see something to the 3rd power, it can be expressed as 10 cubed. All right, let's flip this over and see what we've got here. They're going to give us the whole problem written out, and now they want us to go the other way. Instead of taking a base and a power, they're going to give us the whole problem written out, and they want us to create this. So let me get my pink one out here so we see what we're doing. And they have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now, if we're going to write this with a base and an exponent, our base is always the number that we see here. So our base is going to be 3. That's your first blank right here. And we need to see how many times we wrote down that 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times. that tells us the power or the exponent. All right, so we wrote it down 4 times, so there's your second blank. So the exponent is going to be a 4 because your base number is 3 and it's written down 4 times. Okay, so now they want us to find out what that's going to be. So let's do it. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Remember, since multiplication is commutative, it doesn't matter the order in which we do the problem as long as we take care of all of the factors. So I made my life easy and I did 9 and 9. So all we have to do is multiply those together to get our answer. So now you have your answer for this first part. Now the second part wants us to take 72 and complete the factor tree for it. Now we did this last week, so this should be pretty easy for us. They've even put the boxes there for us so you know exactly what needs to go in the boxes. So let me erase part of this here. So we have some room to work, and let's take a look at what they want us to do. So they're wanting us to take 72 and make our factor tree. So I'm going to recreate this on the board over here. So they've done the first part for you, and they have the 9 here, and they're telling you it's 9 times something is how they're starting. So we're going to go ahead and figure out 9 times what is 72. Well, remember, you can count by multiples of 9 to get 72. You can do 72 divided by 9. However you do it, you want to make sure you get your right answer. I know that 9 times 8 is 72, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that in there. Now we can't stop here because neither one of these numbers is prime. They're composite numbers, meaning they have more than one factor. We've got to keep breaking it down till we get to those primes. So let's go over here to the 9. And what times what is 9? Well, 3 times 3, right? We need to keep going with the 8 as well. These guys are now prime, so we can leave them alone. And in your drawing, they've gone ahead and dropped down the boxes for these guys because they're not going to be changing for that next step. So I'm going to go ahead and leave those there because we're finished with that step. We do need to keep working on the 8 though. So 8 would be 2 times 4, right? Because 2 times 4 makes 8. The 2's all finished. I'm going to go ahead and drop it down because we don't need to do anything else. It's a prime number, so it can stay just like it is. The 4 we're not done with. We have to keep breaking it down into factors. Well, 4 is 2 times 2. Now that we're down here at the bottom and we have all of our prime numbers, we know that we're finished with the factor tree for 72. Now for part 2, it asks us to write that out. I want you guys to keep in mind that when we do express these like this, we want to do it from the smallest number to the largest number. So on number 2 here, where it's got your blanks, you've got 5 blanks and you've got 5 numbers here, but we want to put them in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to take them and find the smallest numbers first. So I'm going to write the 2's first. We have 3 of those, right? 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2 3's. That's going to be what you write in here for number 2. Now, they're taking this and they're asking us to simplify it. We don't want to leave it in this form because we've learned about powers and exponents, right? The base is going to be the number that we're talking about, which for this first one is going to be a 2. And they've even got this down there for you. They've got the 2 and they've got a little box up for its exponent. And they've got the 3 and a little box for its exponent. That's right here on number 3, okay? We need to figure out which exponents to put in this box based on this information. 2 is our base because 2 is the number we're talking about. How many 2's did we have in our prime factorization? Well, 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a 3 in that box because that's the power that we have. There's 3 of them there. For the 3's, the 3 is our base because that's the number we're talking about. How many times was it expressed? That would be 2 times. So this is actually the same thing as this. We've just simplified it. So we have 2 cubed times 3 squared, or 2 to the 3rd power times 3 to the 2nd power. So we can go ahead and figure out what those numbers are. Well, 2 cubed is 2 times 2, which is 4. 4 times 2, which is 8. So right there on the bottom, they have this written out for you. So 72 is 8 times, what is 3 times 3? 9. So you've got all the answers you need to fill out that top part of your paper. They're asking us to do this again. So I'm going to come over here, move this over just a little bit, and we're going to tackle the guided practice at the bottom down here. Here is another problem. They've given us 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So here we go again. Okay, we're going to be filling in the blank. It asks what the base number is. Well, the base number is the number that we're working with. So the base is 4. So that goes right here. The base is 4. And since 4 is used as a factor how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That's your second blank. The exponent is also going to be 4 because your base is 4. It's expressed 4 times. So this is the same thing as 4 to the 4th power because the base is the number we're working with, which is right here. And the exponent is how many times we wrote it down, 4 times. All right, so we're going to go ahead and figure out the math here. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. I can multiply those together. For those of us who can't do that in our heads, don't be afraid to write it down. So 16 times 16. Here we go. Just to refresh your memories, we start with the ones, right? 6 times 6 is 36. Carry my 3. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. Put in my placeholder. Now we're going to start here. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. And then we add. 6 plus 0 is 6. 9 plus 6 is 15. Carry our 1, that is 256. So you've got your answer right there to that one. If you have any questions about this or need additional help, you can email me at mvaw123@gmail.com, or your parents can even use Class Dojo. I know that you guys can do this. Good luck.